let me fill you in on what happened with the stalker, because I know it's something that I've struggled to talk about, and I do try to keep things positive as much as I can in my videos. That's always been my goal. But yeah, I was out busking one time, or I went to go busking one time, and there was another busker in the spot that I normally would go busking in, and so I waited until he'd finished his song, and then I gave him my card, because I said, hey, you know, I'm a busker too, like, yeah, I've been busking in this spot, we should swap details, because that's what I used to do up in Mullaney, like with the local buskers. If you get to know each other, then you can kind of call each other or text each other like, hey, I'm going busking today, what's your plans, you know, so you don't clash and you don't rock up at the same time as somebody else, like, because it sucks when you got all dressed up and you loaded all your gear up and you've hauled your trolley and then someone's there, dang it, you know. So we swapped business cards, and later on that afternoon, this was back in February, I think. Later on that afternoon, I came home and there was this very long email where he was basically, you know, oh my gosh, it was so lovely to meet you. I was so impressed by your beauty and your talent, and you know, I should have just nipped it in the bud then. But we chatted for a few minutes, and he seemed like a really nice guy, and he's a busker and I'm a busker, and we talked busking stuff, you know. And anyway, he wanted to catch up again, and I was like, yeah, for sure, we can do that, you know. And it ended up being a good couple of weeks. I was just busy doing my normal thing, and I'm not looking for companionship really. I'm quite content in my little world, and seeking out social situations is not something that I actively do. And there were just other things on my mind, and I was just getting on with other things, and in the meantime he was kind of texting me and calling me quite a lot. And then finally I said, look, okay, I can meet you, we'll meet at the busking spot, and we'll just, you know, go for a walk around, go check out some bookshops and just, you know, potter around town basically. So we did that. And it was nice, and we had a lot in common, and we had lots of similar viewpoints on certain things, and we got on really great. And then afterwards he was kind of like, oh, I'd really like to take you out to dinner. And I just was like, oh no. I said, honestly, I wouldn't even bother, because I'm on such a restrictive diet, and it would be just a waste of your time and money, because you know, I just eat my own food at home. I'm not a go to restaurant kind of person. You know, we said goodbye, and he hugged me, and I'm a hugger. I don't mind hugging, like, it's fine, but it was a lingery kind of hug. I felt, I also told him straight off the bat that I'm asexual, so that's, yeah, it's part of my, as one of my lovely viewers who's also in the queer community calls it, being queerdos. We're queerdos. I am a queerdo. I won't go into too much about what that means, but I don't feel sexual attraction, and I explained that to him, just in case he was thinking that this might lead to something like that, that was off the table completely. He seemed like fine with that, so I thought, okay, well, you know, if you're open to something sort of more a platonic friendship, then maybe I would be open to that. But then it started to get a little bit weird. Persistent, very persistent with the messaging, and there's a lot of flattery about my physical appearance, like, you're so beautiful, you're so stunning, you're so this, you're so that, and I really don't like that. And I said to him, I said, that actually makes me really uncomfortable, like, can you not do that? And he said, oh, why does it make you feel uncomfortable? I said, because it tells me that you're focusing on me as a physical entity, and I'm not comfortable with that. It doesn't, like, I don't need to hear that. I like it, you know, when people acknowledge my soul and the kind of human I am, but I don't respond at all to physical flattery, and in fact it actually makes me really uncomfortable. Could you please stop? Which he didn't really. Anyway, it got to the point where it was like he kept wanting to catch up again, and I was just feeling more and more uncomfortable about the situation, to the point where it was like, I don't know that we're on the same page about what we want out of this situation. And so I wasn't particularly responsive to that. Then it turned out that basically every time I tried to go busking, and this, he was turning up, and he drives, like he lives an hour and a half away, but he was, you know, turning up pretty much. It didn't matter what day I tried. I'd like, okay, if he was there on Monday, I'll try Tuesday. Like I'd rock up and he'd be there. I was like, oh dang, I can't even go busking. Like it was really frustrating for me. And then finally one time I was like, oh, you know, he's not there, yay. I set up, I started busking, and then in about half an hour or so, I saw his car cruise past, and he was looking, and then he set up busking just up from me, and I could hear him because he's really loud, and it made me really uncomfortable. And so I was just like, oh, I'll pack down and go, I'll just go home. So I packed down and I really quickly tried to rush out of there, because I thought, well, if he hears me stop, he'll probably try and approach me again, and I didn't really want to. At that point, I sent him a message and said, look, I think your expectations are more than what I am able to provide you, and I would prefer it if you don't contact me again. And his response in a text message was, okay, well, thanks for leading me on. Now, bearing in mind we had spent a grand sum total of like one day just walking around talking. Like there'd been nothing physical, there'd been no, it was weird. Anyway, and now he's like literally watching me all the time. So that was really uncomfortable for me. And so when I came back to my car, his car was parked right next to my car. I was like, God damn, you know, like this is getting weird. Then I went up to the bank to put my coins in the bank like I do when I'm busking, and we'd talked about that, you know, like the busking routine, and ending up with piles of coins. And I was like, oh, you know, they've got these ATMs now that you can just pour your coins into, and it'll just stick it into your bank account, which is great, you know. So he knew my routine. So straight after busking, I went up to the bank, I put my coins in, and when I walked back like the block away down the street where my car had been parked, there was his car again parked right next to me. I didn't see him anywhere, but he was there, and it started feeling like he's really wanting me to know that he's following me, and that was making me really uncomfortable. So I started changing up my routine. I started parking in like back streets and walking an extra block around the corner and doing all sorts of things like that to try and avoid it. It happened again. Another time I went busking, same thing. He set up just up from me, and at that point I was like, instead of going to the bank, I actually drove to the police station and parked my car outside the police station, because I thought, if he's following me, like I actually started thinking maybe he had a tracker on my car or something. It was really weird. If he is following me around, then you know, he'll see me go to the police station. That might make him back off. Anyway, I just didn't go out after that for a couple of weeks. I just was like, I don't want to risk this horrible situation. And when I'd said to him, don't contact me again, and he'd said, thanks for leading me on, I had not responded to any text messages from then on, but he did continue to text me. I made a video saying, in one of my videos, you know, there's quite a few videos back now, and I'd said something like I'd been a little bit upset because I'd had a breakdown of a friendship that I thought was genuine, and that's all I'd said. Anyway, I get this huge long email. Oh, I watched your video. In the meantime, he'd gone onto the donations thing, for busking donations. He'd made a donation and written a message there. He had started following me on Instagram, on YouTube, on everything. Like, it was just, he just was constant reminders of him being around, and it was really kind of getting annoying. But I did not respond to anything. But I get this email, and it's like, I saw your video, you seemed really sad. And you said something about a breakup of a friendship, and I think you were referring to me. Which I wasn't. I was talking about somebody who I'd known for a lot longer than 5 seconds, and I wasn't upset. Like, I had told him I don't want to pursue this at all, and yet now it was kind of, I was sad about it. I don't know. The guy's delusional. Again, I never responded. From that moment, I said, please do not contact me again. That first message, you know, our expectations are different. You seem to want more than I'm prepared to give. Please do not contact me again. It didn't stop him contacting me. At that point, I didn't block him because I kept the messages because I realized I had a stalker on my hands. This email went on and on and on about how I haven't been able to think or function. I actually couldn't get out of bed for 3 days when you broke things off with me. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, dude, I think you were a little bit overinvested, you know? In the meantime, my life has been completely disrupted. It's interfering with my ability to go out and have peaceful enjoyment of my life, and to go make my music and make people happy, which makes me happy. And I'm constantly looking over my shoulder. Like, I just avoided anywhere near town. I was paranoid. It was horrible. It was making me really anxious. And I think when it happened another time, when I did try to go, finally, it's been a couple of weeks, and I thought, maybe if I just don't turn up for a couple of weeks, he'll give up. And then it happened again. And at that point, I went straight to the police, and I'd kept record. I had a really nice policeman. He was so lovely, and he gave me a link to upload copies of all the messages and the emails, you know, and I'd written it all down. I'd made a whole sheet, and like what time, what date, all these things that had happened. And he basically said, like, yeah, this is definitely stalking. Do you want to pursue it from a legal perspective? Do you want to sue him or take him to court or whatever? I don't know what that's about. And then he asked me, are you feeling in danger, as in, do you think he could hurt you? And I said, no, I don't think so. I think he's just obsessed and delusional. And the cop agreed. Like, it was above and beyond ridiculous. These just constant messages and things. I did end up blocking him before I went to the police station, and then yeah, uploaded all this stuff to the police and blocked him at that point. And he said, look, unless you're feeling like he's going to physically endanger you, like he might attack you or hurt you, it's probably not worth pursuing in the courts. And I've been through the court system before, and it's not a fun experience at all. It's very, very stressful. I would not want to do that if I didn't have to. So he said, well, what are you hoping to achieve? Like, what's your ideal outcome? What do you want out of this? And I said, honestly, I just want him to leave me alone. Like, I'd asked him to, like, just leave me alone so that I can just get on with my life, you know? So he said, I'll tell you what, I'll give him a call. And I'll tell him where he's at, and this is not a good situation. So, and you know, I'll tell him to leave you alone. Would that help? And I said, that would be great. Thank you so much. Like, that's really all I want out of this. And so about half an hour later, after I'd left the police station, I got the call from the sergeant who'd taken my case, and he said, yep, I've had words with him. I've told him that he was skating on extremely thin ice as far as the law goes, and that he is under no circumstances to try and make any contact with you whatsoever. And he goes, and I don't think you'll be hearing from him again. So thank you, lovely cop at the police station that helped me. I can't remember his name, but he made me feel like I'm not crazy, and I was starting to feel like is this just me? Like, am I reading too much into this, or is this wrong? Because I really wasn't sure. Like, am I just being paranoid? But the fact that I was feeling so anxious and hunted, I felt like a hunted animal. And yeah, he was totally reassuring to me, like, no, Lisa, no, you have every reason to feel like this. This is really not appropriate behavior. And I have had dealings with pursuing men as a female traveler on my own. I have dealt with that many times, and you know, a lot of women do ask, is it safe to be on the road? And as I said in my last video, it's no safer or more dangerous than any woman in any situation, no matter where you are. But, you know, men need to understand that no does mean no. And I have been subjected to so much trauma in that regard because, yeah. If a woman is not responding with interest and actively encouraging your pursuit, then just leave her alone and back away. I've had to do it too many times, and it gets to the point where I have to get nasty and angry, and I don't want to be nasty and angry about it. I don't want to become a hard-faced bitch. Like, yeah. So just guys need to learn to just respect us and our wishes. And it's not, you're not going to change my mind. And as far as the sexuality thing goes, no, it's not because I've never had anyone that's done it right. Like, oh my gosh, I've heard every excuse. I've had people try and ply me with drinks, and there was a guy even at an Indigully pub that was pretty lewd and suggestive and wanted me to come back to his van and have a few drinks with him. And you know, I try to be polite at first, like, hey, mate, I'm not interested. And then they just get nasty, like rude and nasty. And like that guy saying, oh, thanks for letting me on. Like, that's incel stuff, you know? Like, come on. Yeah, that's often happens. Like, they get quite aggressive when they're rejected. And even though I'm trying to be as delicate to not wound anyone's ego, and, you know, us women have learnt to dance around that subject a lot, you know, laugh off the kind of lewd stuff that you have to deal with. And, yeah, God, I'm a 57-year-old woman, you know, like, I thought this stuff would be over by now. I kind of thought, oh, you know, God, my 20s and my 30s, like, nightmare, even into my 40s, like, come on. And I've been really like, man, bring on grey hair, wrinkles and a fat belly, like, because then, you know, I won't have to put up with this anymore. Oh, no. It doesn't matter what you actually look like. It's just because you're on your own. So that's kind of, anyway, that's my stalker story for those of you who, Yana, I know you've been waiting for it. So that's it. And yeah, I am really tired of having to explain that I am not on my own because I'd rather not be. I'm not on my own hoping to be rescued from my circumstances, or to have, you know, some man offer me all the things I can't provide myself. Like, I'm not looking for a physical relationship. I definitely don't want to share my space with anybody. Being on my own is stress-free as far as that sort of stuff goes, and easy. And if I am friendly and chatty to you, and we swap numbers and I seem to like you, it's because I like you as a person. That's it. There's zero expectations from that from me. And if you seem to be liking me and you're not having expectations on me, then I'll feel comfortable. So easy. So anyway, and also I had a really good video suggestion from someone. I can't remember. I have been keeping notes of everyone and saving, screenshotting the things. A few, you know, if you've got any ideas of things that you want to ask me about or want me to talk about. This one was asking about how do I go towing a caravan, reversing a caravan, and all that kind of stuff. Like, and that's actually something that I've been really wanting to do a video about for ages and ages and ages, and I had a certain idea about, because a lot of single women seem to do the camper van thing rather than a caravan, and I realize I'm quite unique being an only woman, a solo woman, nomad, doing it in a caravan and a car rather than a all-in-one motorhome RV camper van type situation like most do. And then there are many reasons why people choose that option too, so I was going to go into a pros and cons about all of that and talk about why it's not as scary as you think. And I don't mean the men's situation, I mean actual towing a caravan and reverse parking a caravan and things like that. It sounds really daunting for people that have never done it before, but I do have heaps of good tips about that, so I'll share all that with you. Thanks again everyone for watching, and yeah, just I really do appreciate the kindness of your comments and the connections that we have at you know, apart from Pixie, I don't really talk to anyone else much, like, you know, oh no, I mean, I do have a couple of people on the phone, but interacting in real life, I just don't really meet a lot of people that I can relate to, and it's just so nice to know that you're not this weird alien person that got plonked on the wrong planet, you know? Because I have felt that most of my life, like, am I in the right place? Like, and you guys make me feel like I'm in the right place, and I so appreciate that. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.